Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are convening broadcasting this public hearing about video conferencing. My name is Anthony Hood. Joining me this evening are Vice Chair Miller, Commissioner May, and Commissioner Eamon Moore. We're also joined by the Office of Zoning staff, Ms. Sharon Shelling. Ms. Sharon Shelling. We're also joined by the Office of Zoning Legal Division, Ms. Lovick and Mr. Liu. I will ask all others to introduce themselves at the appropriate time. Copies of today's virtual public hearing notice are available on the Office of Zoning's website. Please be advised that this proceeding is being recorded by a court reporter and is also webcast live, WebEx, and YouTube Live. The video will be available on the Office of Zoning's website after the hearing. Accordingly, all those listening on WebEx or by phone will be muted during the hearing, and those who have signed up to participate or testify will be unmuted at the appropriate time. Please state your name and home address before providing oral testimony on your presentation. When you are finished speaking, please mute your audio so that the microphone is no longer picking up sound or background noise. If you experience difficulty accessing WebEx or with your telephone call-in, then please call our OZ hotline number at 202-727-0789 to sign up or to receive WebEx login or call-in instructions. All persons planning to testify either in favor or in opposition, we encourage you to sign up in advance and your name will be called accordingly. If you wish to file written testimony, additional supporting documents during the hearing, then please be prepared to describe and discuss it at the time of your testimony. Also, I want to mention, if you have not signed up, also please call 202-727-0789 so we can hear your testimony. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with the provisions of 11Z DCMR Chapter 5 as follows: preliminary matters, presentation by the petitioner or the Office of Planning, which has up to 60 minutes, report of other government agencies, report of the ANCs, testimonial organizations and individuals. Organizations will have 5 minutes, individuals will have 3 minutes, respectively, and we'll hear in the order from those who are in support, opposition, or undeclared. While the Commission reserves the right to change the time limits for presentations if necessary and intends to adhere to the time limits as strictly as possible and notes that no time shall be ceded. Again, any issues, please call the OZ hotline number at 202-727-0789. And the subject of this evening's hearing is the Office of Planning text amendment to subtitles I, X, Y, and Z, and it's Zoning Commission case number 22-25. So with that, Ms. Shelling, do we have any preliminary matters?
We did receive a report from OAG on Friday around 6 p.m. I did ask them for a waiver, and they pointed out that their report is not a report that OP requested or the Commission requested, and so therefore they do not need to file their reports 10 days prior to a hearing. And they propose quite a few changes. And so in light of that, and with some of the comments that have been submitted to the record, after talking with OP, I guess I should go back and say that, as you know, this case actually did not start in 2022. It actually started in 2019. This case came out of 1905, and it was a collaboration between OAG, OP, and OZ. And that was when Alan Bergstein was still here. And then Max Tondreau took over. And then the delay started, and that case never came forward after being set down in March of 2019. And because it had been so long, we then filed this case 22-25. And because of all of these changes that OAG has or proposed recommended changes, we would like to ask the Commission to set down some changes this evening that we would like to propose, and then postpone this case to June 12th. That would give us time to advertise these changes. And those changes, I can tell you what they are because they would be, and this is based off of some comments also in the record. So we do want to address some of those submissions. Section 500.1, it was an oversight not to include OP, OZ, and any text amendments from the Zoning Commission to comply with the comp plan and racial equity analysis. It was just an oversight. We never not intended that we would address those. We would delete section 304.1 that has to do with map amendments filed by the ANC and OP. So OP has recommended deleting that section. For contested cases, we've heard from the ANCs that there's not enough time for them to submit their set down report. I think that there might be some confusion on the part of the ANCs between the set down report and their actual report, because the set down report is not given great weight and the majority of the ANCs do not even submit them. However, in response to the submissions, we're willing to respond by saying, changing that from the ANC submitting the set down report from 30 days to 40 days. And that would mean that contested cases would not, and this is for contested cases, would not be able to be set down less than 45 days from the date it's filed instead of 35 days. And the last change would be to add that any other government agency reports shall be filed at least 10 days prior to the hearing. At the time the regulations were written, as you know, OAG was our counsel. It was never envisioned that OAG would be a separate agency at the time the regs were written. So therefore it was never envisioned that OP would ask OAG for a report. And so it would not only include OAG, but it would include DHCD, DDOT. Well, DDOT I think is already addressed, but any other government agency. So not just OAG, but here recently, it's been OAG who has been responding, and they do make a lot of good recommendations. And it would be nice to have those ahead of time so that we can properly, and OZLD can properly address those and brief the commission. So I would ask that the commission would set down those changes and anything that we find that relate to the text that we've already submitted. If there are comments in the record that we think we can address by making changes, that we could go ahead and make those changes in the public hearing notice, and we have the time to advertise it. That's what I would like to do, is ask that the commission set that down so that we can proceed with a hearing June 12th.
Okay, so we have a number of
Sorry for
items.
the long explanation.
Yeah, we have a number of items, long explanation. Well, 1905 took so many years that I'm in no rush to do anything. So, you know, I remember now, I just remember 19-05. I remember me inquiring from our former council when we were going to see it. And now I have to go back, and now it's took on a new life, 22-25. So we have a number of asked colleagues. Certainly, there are some things on here once we get to the point that I think that some of these things have been looked at 20 years ago. I know we go to days, 30 days, we've been to 45 days, 40 days. Now we're talking about 40 days again, back from 30. That's some of the stuff we need to hash out. It's always good, I think, as everyone knows, this is just me talking now. It's always good, as everyone knows, always to look at your constitution and bylaws in any organization every 10 years. So I guess that's kind of what we're doing here. Some things I'm in favor of what I've seen, but I'm going to be careful to make sure that we get the correct information, because it seems like we're going in all different directions. Some things I think may not be always understood. So I'm going to ask if any of my colleagues have any problems. How many reports we have late? Michelle, was it one report or two?
From government agencies, just OAG at this time. OP did file a supplemental report and they did ask for a waiver. So I'm sorry, there is that report too, if you would grant that waiver for supplemental report, which basically states two of the changes that I just went over.
Okay, any objections, commissioners? Okay, no objections. We will accept all the reports. Now, also, you all are asking for a postponement or extension to gather with those new reports that came in on Friday. I understand. Any objections to June the 12th at 4 p.m.? Any objections? Okay. Commissioner May, are you raising your hand? I'm sorry. All right. All right. So, Michelle, everything that you've asked for, we're ready to deal with.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. One correction. OP has not filed a supplemental report. I apologize. They were not going to because they felt the record was complete. Sometimes they don't file a report after the set down report is pretty complete. So they did not file a supplemental. That was my mistake. So sorry.
Okay, no problem. So we will take in everything that came in, OAG and whoever else. That's all. It was only OAG, right?
It was only OAG.
Okay. Any objections to OAG's report? No objections. So we'll take that in. The next ask, I believe, is a postponement or a continuance.
To set down some changes and postpone to June 12th. Yes.
Okay, Michelle, let me see if any of my colleagues need any need to refund. Tell us what those 3 changes or 4 changes were. Anybody needs to hear it again? Any objections to setting those things down as being recommended by OZ? Okay, no objections. We'll set that down. What's the next item, Michelle?
That's it at this time. Just to add, if we feel that there's some minor tweaks to the language, we've already you've already set down that may be responsive to comments in the record. If we're free to go ahead and add those to the public hearing too. Notice also.
Okay, so I really
nothing major.
Okay, I appreciate the correction about the racial equity because that was
it was just an oversight.
Okay, all right. So we'll accept that as an oversight. Let's put everything in place. Let's get everything flavored right so we can come back on June the 12th at 4 p.m. on these same platforms. Unless I hear any other comments from my colleagues, we will come back June the 12th at 4 p.m.
If you could officially set it down, please, so we can, because there is some new text. If you would please set it down, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I will move that we set down additional comments in the report given to us by our Office of Zoning Secretaries to the Zoning Commission, Ms. Sharon Shellen, and Zoning Commission case number 22-25, the additional set down requirements or regulations that have been proposed from the office and ask for a second. I think I got that right. If not, Ms. Lover could turn the light on.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. Light's not on, so I must have got that right. Any further discussion? Okay, Michelle, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Imamura?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
The vote is 4-0-1 to set down the additional language and to postpone the hearing to June 12th at 4:00 p.m. The -1 being the third mayoral appointee seat, which is vacant. And we thank you for that. That will allow us some additional time to prepare and update the language. Thank you. And I would like to ask that any government agency reports, any additional reports, regardless of whether the commission has asked, or if you would ask for them now, that if any additional reports, including OAG, DHCD, fire and medical, that they be filed 10 days prior to that hearing. Would the commission please ask OAG, if you would ask OAG if they would file a report to please additional report that they file that 10 days prior to the hearing?
Okay, that's in our regulations, right? So I think
it isn't because the commission, OAG was our counsel, so we never envisioned having needing a report from them because they were our attorney. So I'm just asking, since that was their response, we're going to add it, but I would just ask that for this hearing that you would ask OAG and any other government agency who wishes to submit a report on this case that they do so 10 days prior to the hearing. I'm just asking that you do that.
Okay, I would ask OAG to do exactly that, but I would also ask OAG now, since, and this is becoming a major OAG, but it's bigger than that for me. So I'm going to ask OAG if they're listening at this point. I'm going to ask staff, and I'll talk to my colleagues, but if we have to codify it in regulations, we will. They are now an agency to us, so they need to follow the normal standard. I don't want to just single them out every time. We have a lot more government agencies we have to answer to and work with. So I would ask them to fall in line as they have helped us to put in the regulations themselves before they became a separate agency, to fall in line as they've done with the other agencies as well. So that's an ask. If we need to codify that or put it in the regulations, then let's do it. Okay, anything
And
else?
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, one more thing, if I may ask. The APA allows for the shortest time period for advertising is 30 days for a public hearing, even though I think we have the time, just in case we look at the additional comments that OAG has submitted. And I believe Laura Richards made a submission today. We've not had an opportunity to look at that. In case we see some further changes that we may want to make, would the commission also grant a shortened time period if needed? We don't think we need it, but just in case, after reviewing those comments, that we find that we need to address those and maybe make some additional changes, I would just ask the commission to allow us a shortened time period if needed. That's 30 days.
Any objections? Okay, not hearing any. We will accept that as well, Michelle. Anything else?
I promise that's it.
No, that's all right. Vice Chair Moore.
Commissioner.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank the Office of Zoning staff and Office of Planning staff for collaborating on the changes that are being proposed. And I gather from, and I thank all those who've commented so far on this case about procedures, when a lot of it, which is to clarify and try to make the system work for everybody involved. So I thank those who submitted comments, OAG, ANCs, citizens. And yes, I do encourage this OP and OZ to whatever. I saw a lot, I read a lot of the comments that have come in so far, maybe not the ones today. But yes, to the extent you want to clarify further based on those changes, please do so. And in the hearing notice, I think it'd be helpful to everyone at this point, maybe to delineate what's been further clarified or changed. I think you did say that, Ms. Schellen, in your statement. So just so that it's...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, I think that we can do that by maybe double underlining anything that is new since we first advertised. And I do want to say there were a couple people who made submissions like 3 o'clock or after today. And we returned those because, you know, submissions are due 24 hours prior to the hearing. And I know I see that several of those people are watching now. And I just want to say I'll have my staff go ahead and put those comments in the record. I know that Ms. Richards was one and Deirdre Brown was one. And so I just want to let them know that they do not need to resubmit them. We will go ahead. I'll have staff go ahead and put those in the record. So Ms. Ackerman will go ahead and release those now so they don't have to resubmit them.
Okay, we're going to make sure we hear from everyone. We do have to have some. We've been through this before. I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to make sure we hear from everyone. This is not the first time. We don't cut anybody off. We're going to hear from you, so don't worry about it. As long as I'm here, we're going to hear from you. Okay. Anything else?
And that's it. That's it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else, colleagues? Well, let me say as long as we're here, because this is not a
Yes.
one-man show here. All right, let me just say that the zoning commission will meet again. NHP Foundation zoning commission case number 22-33 on April the 6th on these same platforms. And again, this case will continue on, give me the date, Michelle, because I don't want to mess that up.
June 12th at 4:00 p.m.
June 4th, June 12th at 4:00 p.m. on these same platforms. Anything else, anybody? Thank you. And let me apologize to those who came today, but we want to make sure as we move forward, we all are operating on the same page, the same sheet of music, and the same page. With that, I want to thank everyone for attending tonight and apologize for any inconvenience, and we'll see you on June the 12th. Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.